Was a superstar. I've been saying it for years. I keep telling everybody she's the Steph Curry of women's basketball, college or pro.
That is a shame. Knock it down.
Oh, man, look at this throw.
Yeah.
Like it had eyes.
Yeah.
Like
Get
it
that
had
pressure on him.
eyes.
Put that pressure on him. Put that pressure on him. Put that pressure on him, lady. That's what I'm talking about. Whoa. Put that pressure on him. Hey, you can't be the person that don't miss. Best you can do is tie him. Okay.
Yes, sir.
26 official points.
Come on.
Wow.
What's quietly flying under the radar right now is something big. Stephen Curry's shooting coach has been posting Caitlin Clark content nonstop, and it doesn't feel random anymore. Add to that Steph stepping out in his Nike kicks again, and the noise around the situation is getting louder. Now the speculation is heating up. People are starting to believe Caitlin Clark could actually be training with Steph's personal shooting coach. And that idea, it's gaining serious momentum.
But Caitlin Clark commented underneath that video, "We want to see Steph make 12 threes a game. Stop grabbing him, please." And she never really, she would say when something was a foul or to, a complaint to that ilk. But Caitlin hasn't come out and said, what they're doing isn't basketball.
She even dropped a comment on one of Steph's interviews, and that single moment sent fans into full detective mode. The connection between the two keeps looking stronger, and the timing is impossible to ignore. It raises a real question. If Caitlin Clark is actually working with Stephen Curry's shooting coach during the break, does that turn her into a serious problem next season? Or is this just off-season hype getting out of hand? Either way, this doesn't feel like a random rumor, because development like this can change everything. Lately, Caitlin's been following her usual social media routine. Nothing crazy at first, but one I want to see Steph make 12 threes a game. Stop grabbing him, please. On the surface, it could have sounded like any fan showing love, but coming from Caitlin Clark, it hits different. The grabbing, the holding, the constant physical pressure on the perimeter. That's been the story of her entire WNBA experience so far. This isn't abstract for her, it's personal. That's why Steph's interview matters. When asked if the defense bothered him, he said part of him pushes back because it's not real basketball, but at the same time, he admitted it's flattering because it shows just how much pressure he puts on a defense.
There's a part of you that fights it just because it's not real basketball, but there's also a part of it that's flattering. Just knowing that you demand that much attention and also what it does to create shots for other guys on the floor. So, and I've seen it all, so I know if that's how they want to guard, how I can be effective, not let it take me out of the game, but also kind of use it to our advantage as a team. And then it's also funny at times just how egregious it is. There's one possession, I gotta find it. I'll actually get the footage. I actually stayed back in the backcourt a long time on purpose just to see how long Sion would stay with me. So that was a fun.
And it's not just about the shots. It's about how much space that kind of gravity creates for everyone else on the floor. Steph's not real basketball comment carries real weight, because what he was actually saying in a clean and professional way is that when defenders stop playing straight up defense and start grabbing, holding, and face guarding all game, that's not skill or strategy. It's fear disguised as toughness. That's a feeling Caitlin Clark knows all too well. Her rookie WNBA season was basically a crash course in that exact treatment, with teams blitzing her the moment she crossed half court, sometimes throwing 2 or even 3 defenders at her instantly. Possession after possession, it was hands on her, bodies leaning into her. Constant contact meant to slow her down, and that's been her nightly reality. To be fair, some of that coverage is just smart basketball. When you're facing the best shooter on the planet, you're supposed to adjust and make things difficult. But a lot of what we've seen goes way beyond smart defense and straight into contact that would be a foul in almost any other situation. The bigger issue is that WNBA refs have been letting it slide again and again, and even Stephanie White, who now coaches Caitlin in Indiana, but faced her last season in Connecticut, admitted there's way too much contact being allowed on the perimeter across the league. That's not fan noise. That's a head coach speaking from both sides. Rebecca Lobo noticed it too, constantly pointing out missed fouls on Caitlin during broadcasts while the whistle stayed silent. Through all of this, Caitlin has kept things low-key publicly, only speaking up about clear moments like the Kennedy Carter shoulder check, but never turning into a league-wide complaint or saying outright that the way teams guard her isn't real basketball. That's why her comment on Steph's interview landed harder than expected. She was backing him, but also speaking from lived experience without making herself the story. It was smart, subtle, and effective. And honestly, she's not wrong. Fans want to see Steph hit 12 threes in a game. That's why jerseys sell, arenas sell out, and people line up overnight for his shoes. His shooting is the product. And when defenses just grab him to shut it down, the game suffers. The same logic applies to Caitlin. People want to see her pulling up from 30 feet, hitting step-back threes, and threading unreal passes. That's her superpower. That's the draw. And that's exactly why attendance spiked and her games kept getting pushed into national TV slots.
Caitlin Clark, and you get the attention that she does, you're going to get outsized defensive attention. In a rookie season, she was blitzed more to start that year than any team. A lot of that is strategy. They know what she can do. They know where she has the ball, all that stuff. But then there's part of it like trying to prove a point against her. And then, of course, when you want to rough up the other team's star, that's what coaches preach. If the refs are going to let you do it, you do it. It's something that became a point of contention across her WNBA career so far, with Stephanie White, who probably deployed that strategy with the Connecticut Sun, saying that too much contact is allowed on the perimeter. And that's a thing across the WNBA, and it became a theme across the WNBA. But, Caitlin is allowed to be grabbed and held and all those things. Even to the point where I remember there was a broadcast where Rebecca Lobo pointed out, like, there's a foul, and there's a foul, and there's...
Fans tune in for skill like that, and when defenses are allowed to just maul her while the whistle stays silent. Everybody loses. Somehow, the WNBA has convinced itself that letting excessive contact slide is a badge of honor, like more grabbing and holding automatically makes the league tougher or more legitimate. But that logic is completely backward. The NBA shut that down years ago because they understand a simple truth. People watch basketball to see stars cook, not to watch defenders mug scorers all night. This isn't a solo complaint either. Chelsea Gray has talked about it. Becky Hammon has called it out. Natasha Cloud has voiced frustration. And Stephanie White has flat out said it needs to change. It affects the entire league, especially perimeter players and elite shooters who rely on movement, space, and rhythm. What makes Caitlin Clark's situation interesting is how quiet and measured she's been. She's picked her spots, knowing that constantly calling out officiating can make a player look soft. So instead of centering herself, she slid into Steph's situation and made the same point without putting the spotlight directly on her own experience, which was a smart move. Add in the extra layers. Steph wearing Caitlin's Nike shoes, his shooting coach constantly posting her, and all those context clues together, and it starts to feel like more than coincidence. There's a strong chance Caitlin is working with Steph's personal shooting coach this offseason, and even without official confirmation, the signs point that way. That's huge, because the habits, drills, and details that shape the greatest shooter ever would be priceless for her. Caitlin is already viewed as the best shooter in women's basketball, but as she tightens her mechanics, sharpens her prep, and adds layers inspired by Steph, that's how players go from dominant to unfair. From a business angle, it lines up too. Nike is heavily invested in both. They're both smaller guards who change how people think about range and spacing, and they deal with the same kind of defensive pressure. Steph has also always shown love to women's basketball, and Caitlin fits perfectly as the kind of player kids watch and instantly want to copy. There's also a competitive edge here. Caitlin isn't trying to just be good. She wants to be great. And if working with Steph's people gives her even a small edge, she's smart enough to take it. The timing makes it even more interesting, especially with her confident social media comments that suggest she believes the season is locked in and the league is moving forward, which makes sense because no one has more leverage than she does. The surge in crowds, TV ratings, merchandise, and brand interest traces straight back to her arrival, and that's why her words carry weight. She's shown she understands the business, the timing, and her role in shaping what comes next. When you compare officiating across leagues, the contrast is obvious. The NBA struggles with exaggerated contact, while the WNBA often ignores real contact, and both hurt the product. When Steph says extreme face guarding and grabbing isn't real basketball, that message should land, because basketball at its best is about skill, spacing, and flow. Caitlin has dealt with nonstop physical defense, much of it uncalled, and moments like the Kennedy Carter incident made the issue impossible to ignore. That's why her comment on Steph matters. It lets her address the problem without becoming the headline. Fans want fireworks from Steph, and they want the same from Caitlin. Logo threes, broken record, and highlights, not defensive mugging disguised as toughness. If the WNBA is serious about long-term growth, it has to let its stars breathe by finding a balance that keeps competition without killing creativity. If Caitlin really is working with Steph's shooting coach and comes back sharper with cleaner mechanics and new